Hello, everybody. Welcome to All Things Spice podcast. My name is Zanele, and I am your host. I'm super excited to have you on the podcast. If you're a first-time listener, you're very welcome to the podcast family. If you are a returning, loyal podcast listener, thank you so much for coming back and just continuing on this journey together with me. And thank you so much for the encouragement and the reviews that I've gotten back so far. I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. So yeah, I'm super excited to really just continue and see how this continues to grow and develop. So today's episode is on Soulcation, or as some people call it, Soulcation. I prefer the first one because I literally feel that whenever the two instances really that have been intentional traveling alone, I have come back so soulful. So actually, I just thought of it now. Can be soulful as in SOFULL or SOULFULL. Yeah. So yeah, that's today's episode. I'm going to be just speaking about what it is, why I would encourage people to do it, how you can practically actually take action and do it, and also just the sort of things that can actually prevent you from taking that first step of going on a soulcation. So I mean, as I've said, I will speak briefly about my personal experiences of traveling alone. And I mean, everyone has got a different experience, right? So I can only share what I've personally experienced and maybe what I've heard from other people. But yeah, you can't expect that you'll have the exact same experience as I've had. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's about sharing, right? And then you can take whatever you want to take from that, or disregard whatever you feel just doesn't work for you. Okay, so to jump straight into it, a soulcation is, for me, when I personally define it myself, it's just traveling alone, but with a specific intention, right? And for me, it's been to really just switch off and rest and re-energize, especially when I've had a busy period of time. So when it's post busy season at work, which is there's always with the nature of my work, it's very cyclical, but it's for the most very busy. So when you get those downtimes, it's just great and amazing. So it's just time to really switch off and be me, do me, if you know what I'm trying to say. And as well, just feed my soul in the process. And what I mean by that is just getting time to really, reflect on certain things, pray about certain things, and get clarity with certain things. Because what I find is that in the busyness of life and the busyness of life. So that's basically inclusive of work, and all the other activities that we do outside work, right? We can get to that stage where, one, we feel burnt out, and two, like, you're just going with the motions and not really stopping and thinking, okay, what do I want? How am I feeling? How am I doing? What do I want to do? Right? So yeah, that's basically my definition of a soulcation. And to be honest, if I think back 3 years, let me just say 3 years back, and reflect and say, do I, at that point, did I think that traveling alone was an option? No. I just had the idea that, traveling, it needs to be either with my family or with my friends, or just in another setting. Maybe it's business travel, or you're traveling with a partner, or just having someone. And just the thought of traveling alone, no, it just honestly did not cross my mind. But then 2021, last year. Wow, it feels like such a long time when I did the first solo trip. The idea just came to mind. And, when I think, when such things happen, I usually, will write it down. Because it was just, it felt random. I'm just thinking, I just feel like traveling alone. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's not random. I think there's a reason and a purpose. And when I feel that way, when I discern something in that form, then I just usually write it down and pray about it. And I like to follow things through. So that trip happened, and that was in Cape Town. I went to Langebaan for, I think it was 4 days. Yeah, it was 4 days, and it was amazing. It was so amazing. It just turned out much better than I actually even anticipated. Well, I didn't really have an expectation, if I must say. I just went with an open mind, and it was great. And I'm like, I think this is something I should probably do again. And then I did it again this year. So definitely, I would highly recommend it. And the reason I say that is because you get to choose, right? So you are in, basically, you're in control of when you want to go, where you want to go, what you want to do. So you get to choose all of that. And, it's not really decisions that you are having to sort of, make with other people, and then you compromise, or maybe you do a certain activity because, someone else wants to do it, but that maybe, this thing, it's not my thing. So there's just that autonomy and the independence of just, doing what you want to do when you want to do it. And it also allows you to experience new things. So, for example, if you want to, I don't know, maybe try out something that you're not particularly great at, but you kind of feel like, if it's in a group setting, then it's a bit like, I don't know if I want to try it, but you're alone. So you're like, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You won't feel embarrassed in any way. So, it allows you, I guess, to be a little bit more adventurous. And, as I said at the beginning, it's really time for you. So, you can structure your holiday however you want to structure it. I always allow for at least some time to reflect, some time to, appreciate, those people that are in my life, the things that are in my life, just appreciate life. And for me personally, I love going to places where there's nature. Well, yeah, those have been, nature's everywhere, but I mean like mountains, water, so ocean vibes, lake vibes, that kind of thing. Because I just feel that it's just a place for me where I connect more with God. And the beauty, it's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful views is what I love and enjoy. But obviously, I also just try to mix that up also with, the city kind of sightseeing and all of that. So, I mean, it's just basically up to you to decide what makes you happy, what place do you feel most at peace at, because then at least, I mean, that's the whole point, right? You're there to rest. You're there to feed your soul. So you don't want a place where you feel anxious. So if camping is just not your thing, then I don't know if it's a good idea to want to go on a on a trip by yourself camping in that instance. But hey, as I said, it's a time to experience new things. So maybe you'll find out that, camping is actually not as bad when you do it alone. But yeah, I don't know about that aspect. What else? Oh yes, the other thing was that you notice that in those moments of just of solitude, you just feel more anchored. You feel more anchored, and because you're alone and you're in your own space, it just gives you that ability and that time to be able to reflect without really any much distractions. For me, I also personally prefer to go off social media. And that's just so that I really am in a space where I am alone, right, with not much distractions and other things happening. So that's my preference. I mean, doesn't necessarily work for everyone. So those I would say are probably the reasons why I would say it's definitely a good thing. I mean, Jesus also often withdrew from his crew and from the crowds. So for me, that just really shows that those moments of solitude hold very great weight, and they are much needed in life. And then you can just switch up your plans. I mean, you don't need to consult with anyone. So if you feel like you don't want to do X anymore, you want to do Y, or you want to switch around the days, then that's fine as well. you won't, really need to consult with anyone. So it's always great in that regard. Okay, so I've said all these great, things and all in terms of it's why it's great to travel alone. But the reality is that there's also the difficult aspect, right? And I think for me, the biggest thing was overcoming the fear of being alone, right? Yeah, that was I would say the thing that really bothered me, because I was just worried, like, I'm gonna be alone, physically, yes, especially when I did the trip in Cape Town, because I was thinking, okay, what if I have a flat tire because I was driving there? What must happen? Here, female, alone. Is it really safe? So I was really worried and scared about that. And then the other aspect was the being emotional, emotional loneliness, if that makes sense, because you're putting yourself in a space, deliberately putting yourself in a space where it's you and you and you. So it's your thoughts. You're in your thoughts, you're in your emotions. So a lot of things, obviously, can just start resurfacing and coming up. And you're like, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that, to really sit with my own thoughts. But it's such an important thing that you need to do anyways. And yeah, just being in that place of solitude really does help to highlight those things that maybe you don't really want to think about, but sort of have to think about. I think the important part is it being aware of those things. And then, obviously then, you need to deal with those certain things that are coming and creeping up. So yeah, those were my main worries. So to deal with the whole aspect of, the whole emotional aspect, I think for me, you can't really prepare yourself for that, but I think it's just a matter of really, just being fine with the fact that it's going to feel uncomfortable, right? And yeah, I mean, you just have to do it. Just have to step out and do it. And in terms of the physical aspect of being alone, I don't know if, in as much as I switched off to say, okay, my social media is off, at least one or two people would know that I'm okay and I'm safe every single day. And yeah, that was just for me something I just felt like was necessary, because imagine just going MIA, even if you tell people that you're going away. But I mean, my parents would get worried if I just, they don't know if I'm safe and I'm okay. So at least one or two trusted people would know on a daily basis that I'm doing fine. And that would be communicating via email or like text message or a phone call, right? So yeah, those are the ways that I overcame that. It still is tough, as I've said, especially the emotional part, because it's like sitting and being aware of your emotions is just it's in itself a difficult task, but as I said, it's necessary. And I think the more you practice just awareness, the more it just becomes a little bit easier. Okay, and then what else? What else? How to start. So I just have a few practical things that I've, sort of try to brainstorm and think about and say, okay, how does one start to even like, you know, um, execute this whole traveling alone? So firstly, think of a place. Secondly, plan for it. So include it in your budget, and yeah, you just need to consider, everything like the food. It's expensive. It can be expensive. The food, where you're gonna sleep, the activities that you're gonna do. So that comes to my third point, to say plan your itinerary. Well, for me personally, I'm a planner, so like probably a month before I'll know what I'm kind of thinking of doing. But as I said, you've got that choice of switching things up without having to consult anyone. So yeah, for those people who are spontaneous and don't like to plan at all, then great. That's also your choice. But for people who do like to plan, then yeah, definitely do plan ahead. And then just enjoy being with you. Enjoy being with you. I was listening to an interview quite recently on YouTube, and the person there was saying that they were asking, what's the longest relationship? How long has the longest relationship that you've been in lasted? And the response was the person's age. So for me, my longest relationship is 26 years, because it's the relationship that I have with myself. And if you can't really nurture that relationship and enjoy being in your own space, then yeah, no. It's a no, because I mean, yeah, you just have to be able to find that to find that joy in being with you. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, those are basically the main things that I had sort of come up with. And then just to leave you with this comment that I read on this article. It says, there is something to be said for heading out into the world on your own with no social safety net, forging a path in solitude and making your way through unknown terrain can do wonders for your self-confidence and personal authenticity. So yeah, I'll leave you with that, and hopefully I've encouraged you to step out and perhaps think of planning a soulcation. Please do reach out to me and tell me if you have any, prospective places you're thinking of going to. And yeah, if you just generally just want to chat further about my experiences with my Langebaan trip and my other trip where I went to Scotland recently. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I really do hope that you are looking forward to the next episode that will be coming out next week. And I do really appreciate, really appreciate you joining. So till we chat again, keep loving whilst living.